Well, I wonder if I have the balls to do it. Let's begin. Well, it seems that amid the whispers of government belt-tightening, a marvellous revelation has emerged. A hidden trove of money has been discovered, tucked away behind the scenes. But of course, this newfound treasure won't exactly be squandered on the mundane matters like, I don't know, improving the lives of everyday people or alleviating the burden of rising living costs. Oh no, it's time for a thrilling game of Follow the Money, the government edition. Yes, that's right, my friends. In the midst of our struggles with finances, the Treasury has been merely collecting its share, kind of like a diligent squirrel collecting his nuts for the winter. And as I'm sure you'll agree, there are plenty of nuts in the government, but anyway. Then, of course, there's Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, who finds himself facing an unexpected windfall that's larger than Leprechaun's pot of gold. You can only imagine the debates going on behind closed doors, can't you? And of course, now enter the valiant Taxpayers Alliance, bravely standing against the tide of stealth taxes that have been stealthily making their way into our lives. And of course, the cost of living crisis affects us all, doesn't it? Maybe, who knows, an MP or two, although obviously not quite in the same way. They'll probably have to stop wiping their bums with tenors and probably go down to fivers. But anyway, Jeremy Hunt wasn't surely expecting to have a £40 billion windfall. And obviously, I don't know about you, but I personally think the very least he could do with all that money is to scrap the income tax threshold freeze earlier than he was planning to. But anyway, the article says that Britain can afford to cut income tax after new figures showed the Treasury is raking in record revenues. Well, it looks like I was quite close there, doesn't it? Maybe, who knows, I'm Mystic Meg, or maybe actually I should play the lottery tonight. But anyway, analysis by the Daily Express shows soaring wages are set to generate an extra $30 billion for the taxman this financial year. And as a result of the freeze in tax and national insurance thresholds, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is now being urged to give millions of Britons a desperate needed tax cut in this autumn budget as government revenues rocket. Connor Holdman, the media campaign manager of Taxpayers Alliance, said ordinary British workers and pensioners are being battered by stealth taxes, and far from just applying to the wealthier few, higher income tax rates are hitting hard-pressed households during the cost of living crisis. The government should give taxpayers a break and ease the 70-year high tax burden. And backbench MPs also urged Mr Hunt to show the Tories are on the right side of hard-working British taxpayers by slashing levies in the autumn budget to ease the burden on households. David Jones, Tory MP of Clyde, Wales, said the Chancellor will soon have much more fiscal headroom to cut personal taxes and deliver the growth the country needs. I hope he will signal that he will do so in this autumn upcoming statement. Jonathan Gillies, who pronounced that right, Tory MP for Stoke-on-Trent North, said it is important we all do all we can to make sure people keep more of their hard-earned money, especially as they have been through so much from COVID-19 to the cost of living crisis. And I hope the Chancellor goes for it in the autumn statement and demonstrates it is only the Conservatives who are on the side of the hard-working taxpayer. Craig McLinley, Tory MP for South Thanet, said unexpected high wages inflation give a multi-million-pound boost to the Exchequer because of frozen tax thresholds. Higher prices also mean more VAT. Additionally, there will be a medium-term inflationary bonus to capital gains tax and inheritance tax. And capital gains tax receipts will be further increased due to the reduction in tax-free capital gains tax allowance to $6,000 this year and $3,000 next year. The growing number of disgruntled landlords simply selling up, though, will be a further multi-billion-pound fill-up for the Treasury. Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because it's payback time for the banks, and not in the way they're like. Because they could actually be fined if they actually deny us access to our cash within a certain area. And of course, I don't know about you, but I personally think they'll be trying to clutch onto that cash, overcome with emotion at the thought of any potential reprimands. But now the Treasury itself seems to be riding in on like a modern-day version of Robin Hood, armed with a mandate, the secret right of withdrawing cash within a 3-mile radius. Yet let us not overlook the financial authority ready to unleash its formidable fines upon the banks that dare to play hide-and-seek with hidden fees. And of course, I don't know about you, but I think that will make the banks go quite hot under the collar. Perhaps they should actually paid more attention in maths class and kept a few more banks open. It's just a thought. Hopefully, though, any fines they do receive will give them the deterrent they desperately need, because it kind of feels like they're forcing cashless upon us when it should be our choice and not theirs. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that quite a lot of OAPs, and I'm not talking about every OAP, but quite a lot of them will find it harder compared to younger people to live without cash. But anyway, the article says that major banks face being fined if they fail to provide free access to cash withdrawals within 3 miles of consumers and businesses under rules set out by ministers. Sky News has learned that the Treasury is publishing guidelines within days setting out expectations for banks future provisions and cash deposit and withdrawal services. One source briefed on the plan said that the City Minister, Andrew Griffith, would make a policy statement building on the government announcement in May last year, and under the new rules, the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, will have powers to fine banks that fail to provide free access to cash. And the further good news is that personal current account holders would not be allowed to face hidden fee charges for withdrawn cash under the rules. The closure of thousands of bank branches since the 2008 financial crisis has stoked fears that those in vulnerable groups are being cut adrift without guaranteed cash access. And in recent years, a number of pilot schemes have been launched to provide shared access to banking hubs for customers at different banks. Mr Griffith is understood to have visited one of those in Brixton, Devon earlier this week. But of course it's unclear though how the new 3-mile rule would apply to rural communities across the UK. Nigel Farage though, the former UKIP leader whose treatment by NatWest subsidiary Coots has sparked a political anger over debanking and is understood to have gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures for a petition aimed at halting the reduction in cash services by banks. The Treasury though refused to respond to requests for comment. And personally, I don't think that's too much of a surprise, although they'll have to, sooner or later. Well, let's see who's decided to play a round of Let's Invite Chaos with none other than a disruptive assemble known as the Green New Deal Rising. Sir Keir Starmer, our very own Pullock in my opinion, of questionable decisions, has opened the floodgates to what promises to be a captivating show of political acrobats. I mean, well done, Sir Keir. Your audacity truly shows no bounds, doesn't it? I mean, you might remember a little while ago, in a sudden twist of fate, that these activists managed to hijack Sir Keir's education reform speech, turning it into a real-time unscripted spectacle that even reality TV producers would marvel at. I mean, the accusation of so many U-turns aimed at him was of course the cherry on top of his theatrical sundae, wasn't it? But lo and behold, the plot thickens because a confident figure from Green New Deal Rising has emerged, chest puffed out, announcing their triumphant feat of securing meetings with top-tier Labour officials. And in my opinion, it kind of says move aside traditional methods, the era of disruptive theoretics is adorned. But let's not overlook the dress code. Something red, they say. An apparently brilliant nod to their fiery ambitions and the impending embarrassment that they plan to bestow upon Sir Keir Starmer. Well, speaking about Keir Starmer, he strangely denies any association with groups such as Just Stop Oil, which, if I remember rightly a little while ago, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm pretty sure they donated quite a lot of money to Labour, if I remember rightly that is. But at the end of the day, Labour or any other government party, in my opinion, shouldn't be meeting with these eco-idiots because at the end of the day, they cause nothing but a nuisance to the public. And if anything, I think it just shows whose side Labour are actually on. But anyway, the article says that Sir Keir Starmer's gamble of granting activists from the disruptive Green New Deal Rising Association appears to have backfired. I think they mean meeting, but anyway. As the group still plans targeted protesters outside senior Labour MPs' offices. And in July, a speech by Sir Keir on education reform was hijacked by activists from the group who managed to gatecrash the leader's backdrop of young activists. The protest, which was broadcast live on multiple news channels, saw Sir Keir accused of so many U-turns. And whilst, of course, Sir Keir has adamantly denied any links between his party and groups like Just Stop Oil, on Tuesday a senior figure from Green New Deal Rising boasted that the protests had secured their meetings with top Labour officials. Fatima Ibrahim, I pronounced that right, said the meetings, one of which was with Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting, proved disruptive protests helped them get their way. It now appears that Sir Keir's plan to engage with the group has backfired after it emerged they planned multiple disruptive protests outside offices of Labour MPs, including Sir Keir Starmer's own constituency office in St Pancras. A WhatsApp message seen by the Express reveals GNDR will protest outside offices of Keir Starmer, Emily Thornberry and David Lammy tomorrow. Activists are now encouraged to wear something red. Due to the dress code, it's getting hot in here. They've also directed to bring along a sign that represents headlines /climate chaos. The group is clearly hoping to maximise Labour's humiliation, highlighting that press will be attending the protest outside Emily Thornberry's office. Protesters will head to the pub afterwards when they've finished their 5:30 p.m. rallies outside Sir Keir and Miss Thornberry's offices. The revelation, though, that the group has secured top-level access to Labour officials following the protest at Sir Keir's speech raised further questions about the Labour leader's relationship with extreme climate activists, and in July Sir Keir claims reports that a senior aide of his had approached Just Stop Oil for a meeting were just nonsense. Well, of course, I don't know about you, but I think that nonsense comment was nonsense. But anyway, he said there haven't been meetings and engagement. There was some nonsense story in the Mail today. I've not met with them, my team aren't meeting them, and it's a complete distraction. Responding, though, to GNDR's interview earlier this week, Net Zero Secretary Grant Shapps said Labour is dancing to the tune of these eco-zealots who want us to be dependent on evil dictators like Putin, for example. Hopefully, though, Labour's election plan in this video will also backfire, otherwise we could be in a bit of trouble.